Jungkook cries on his last day of military service. Camera captures his words, "I don't want to go back to that system." Why would the golden magne of BTS, Jungkook, break down in tears on what should have been the most triumphant day of his military service? Why would he utter words so heavy, so raw, so unexpected, that fans around the world are left in complete shock? I don't want to go back to that system. Those 8 words, caught on a shaky camera just meters from the military base, now echo louder than any stage performance he's ever given. It wasn't just a goodbye to military life. It was a heartbreaking confession and a moment that felt almost surreal. Jungkook, known for his strength, charisma, and unshakable presence, stood still, eyes clouded with emotion, as the gates of the barracks closed behind him. A soft drizzle added to the weight of the moment, as if even the sky understood that this wasn't just the end of service. Something had broken. The footage shows him glancing at the crowd of reporters and fans from a distance, waving half-heartedly. But it was when he turned to speak to someone just off camera, not realizing the microphone was still picking up every word, that everything changed. His voice cracked, not with joy or relief, but with exhaustion and something deeper, disillusionment. "I don't want to go back to that system," he said quietly, perhaps to a fellow soldier, or maybe just to himself. But the camera caught it, and the world heard. Immediately, social media exploded. What did he mean? Was he talking about the entertainment industry? About BTS? About the company behind it all? Or was it something more personal, something more human? The moment didn't feel rehearsed. It wasn't part of a scheduled appearance. There was no stage lighting, no fanfare. Just Jungkook, raw and unfiltered, allowing the weight of 2 years of silence, suppression, and pressure to surface. Fans tried to interpret his tone, his expression, his body language. He wasn't angry. He wasn't bitter. But he was wounded. People who had followed him for a decade could sense something different. Jungkook had always been the one who carried the burden quietly, smiling through exhaustion, practicing until dawn, hiding his pain behind perfect vocals. But something about the military changed him. The rules, the structure, the way emotions must be buried deep for the sake of order, it was too much. He adapted, like he always did, but at what cost? For months, he had been silent. Only a few letters made their way to the public. Carefully written, filtered by handlers, polished until they felt safe. But now, for the first time, the dam broke. That whisper, "I don't want to go back to that system," felt like a rebellion, a quiet revolution from someone who had always been obedient, always giving, always sacrificing. The world began to speculate. Was he hinting at a departure from the spotlight? Had something happened behind closed doors during his enlistment that changed him? Was this just the culmination of years of hidden stress, artistic suffocation, and personal longing? What exactly is that system? Those close to the industry knew what he meant. The system wasn't just about management. It was about everything: the contracts, the expectations, the forced smiles, the endless schedules, the punishment for not being perfect, the fear of being replaced, the surveillance, the lack of autonomy. The K-pop machine is sleek on the outside, but Jungkook just cracked open a window and let the world see the gears grinding underneath. And it was loud, but the pain wasn't only his. That one sentence ignited a wave of reflection among other idols, past and present. Anonymous posts began appearing on forums from other trainees and former artists. They echoed Jungkook's sentiment. Some said they felt trapped. Some said they left the industry altogether just to feel human again. Jungkook, knowingly or not, gave them the courage to speak. In the days following the video's release, HYB Entertainment remained silent. Fans demanded a response. Was Jungkook okay? Was he planning to return to music? Or was this his way of saying goodbye, not just to military life, but to everything that came before? Rumors began to swirl that Jungkook had rejected multiple post-discharge projects. One report claimed he requested extended leave. Another said he had declined an offer to film a documentary about his return. Then came the whispers that he was spending more time with his family than ever before, avoiding Seoul entirely. But no one really knows what's going through Jungkook's mind, except Jungkook. And for now, he isn't talking, The man who once gave everything to the stage, who broke barriers, set records, smiled through chaos, is now silent, introspective, and perhaps for the first time, prioritizing himself. The boy who once called the stage his home now seems unsure if he wants to return to it. For ARMY, it's a difficult moment. They want him to heal, to be free, to find peace. But they also want to see him again, to hear his voice not through tears, but through song. And yet they understand, because when Jungkook cried, they cried too. When he said those words, it wasn't just his voice. It was the collective cry of every person who's ever felt trapped, tired, and afraid to admit it. The video has since been replayed millions of times. Experts dissect it, media speculates, fans create edits layered with piano music and soft filters. But none of that captures the reality of the moment. Because this wasn't content. This was truth. And truth is never easy to watch. What happens next? No one knows. Maybe Jungkook will return with new music. Maybe he'll take a long break. Maybe he'll walk away completely. But one thing is certain. He won't go back the same way he came in. He can't. Something inside him changed. And now, the world must change too. The entertainment world has long celebrated the glitter, but ignored the cracks. Now, one of its brightest stars has spoken, not with a speech, but with a whisper. And the echo is deafening. If Jungkook never returns to the stage, we will remember him not just for his voice, his dance, his perfection, but for his honesty. For that vulnerable moment on a rainy morning outside a military base, when he reminded the world that even idols are human, when he said, "I don't want to go back to that system." Maybe he wasn't just talking about himself. Maybe he was speaking for everyone who never had the courage to say it. And maybe, just maybe, that's how real change begins. The hours after the video surfaced were tense. Not just for ARMY, but for the entire K-pop industry. That single sentence, stripped of PR gloss and corporate control, became a symbol. "I don't want to go back to that system" was no longer just Jungkook's truth. It became a rallying cry. Fans started trending hashtags worldwide. Some voiced concern. Others offered support. Many began digging into the darker side of idol life that had always been whispered about but rarely confirmed by someone as central, as beloved, as untouchable as Jungkook. Journalists scrambled for insider information. Fan accounts posted tearful reaction videos. Reaction channels flooded YouTube with frame-by-frame breakdowns of his facial expressions, his tone, the way his shoulders slumped when he said it. But one thing was unmistakable. This wasn't performative. Jungkook had nothing to gain by showing his pain. There was no comeback teaser tied to this moment. No promotional campaign. No album drop. It was raw. And that's what made it so devastatingly real. But perhaps what made it most painful was that it didn't come from a rookie, someone still figuring out the industry. It came from a legend. A once-in-a-generation artist who had been with BTS since he was 15. A man who had achieved everything, seen everything, given everything. If he, with all his power, his popularity, his platform, still felt broken by the system, what did that say about the rest? There were rumors, of course there were, that Jungkook had clashed with executives before his enlistment, that he had been promised creative freedom and then watched it vanish under commercial pressure, that he wanted to make a completely acoustic solo album but was told it wouldn't sell, that he'd asked for time off after his US promotions and was met with silence. And now, after nearly 2 years of service in relative peace, he was being pulled back in, but it was clear. He didn't want to be pulled. Not now. Maybe not ever. And while HYB declined to issue any formal statement, their silence was louder than any press release. No welcome back banners. No official discharge content. No teaser countdown. Just silence. Deafening, conspicuous silence. As if the company itself wasn't sure how to handle a Jungkook who finally said no. Even among his BTS bandmates, there seemed to be a ripple of uncertainty. A few posted cryptic messages on social media. Nothing direct, nothing name-dropping, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Taehyung posted a black and white photo of a quiet landscape. Jimin shared a lyrics quote about losing one's way. RM's Instagram story showed a burning matchstick, fading into smoke. ARMY noticed. ARMY always notices. Some fans speculated that Jungkook's tears weren't just about his own pain, but the collective burden BTS has carried for more than a decade. As the group's youngest, he had grown up under the microscope. Millions watched him learn, stumble, cry, laugh, succeed, all on camera. He had no adolescence in the traditional sense. Every personal growth spurt was public. Every mistake was magnified. Every achievement was scrutinized. And now, after serving his country, he returned not to freedom, but to expectation. Expectation to be the same.
To sing the same way.
To perform. To lead. To shine. But maybe he no longer wants to shine. Maybe he just wants to exist. The phrase, "I don't want to go back to that system," might haunt fans for years. It may become as iconic as any lyric he's ever sung. It wasn't just emotional, it was historical. Because for the first time, someone at the very top cracked the polished veneer of the K-pop dream and showed what it really costs to live inside it. Not money, not fame, but peace. And that is what Jungkook seems to be searching for now. Not awards, not charts, not brand deals, but quiet,
peace,
space to breathe. Some fans began urging others not to pressure him with questions about new music or comeback dates. Let him be human. One viral tweet read, "Let him heal. Let him rest." The tweet gained hundreds of thousands of likes, signaling a shift in the fan mentality. Perhaps ARMY had evolved, too. Perhaps they had learned, through Jungkook, that love sometimes means letting go of expectations, of timelines, of the image we've created in our heads. And still, the mystery lingers. What did Jungkook mean exactly? Will he speak again? Will there be an interview, a tell-all, a documentary that explains everything? Or was that one moment the only window we'll ever get? Whispers now swirl of a possible solo departure. Not a dramatic breakup, not a scandalous exit, but a quiet, respectful distance from the industry he once lived for. He may choose to go independent. He may produce for others under a pseudonym. He may vanish from the public eye altogether and re-emerge years later with long hair, a beard, and a guitar, unrecognizable, unchained, finally free. And would ARMY still love him then? Of course. Because they didn't fall in love with the system. They fell in love with the boy behind the camera. The one who smiled through pain, who practiced until dawn, who loved without measure. And now, they're seeing a side of him that had been hidden behind choreography and costumes. A boy-turned man who has carried the weight of 1 billion hearts and finally said, "I need to carry my own now." There is no closing statement, no happy ending, because the story isn't over. It's just suspended. In that moment where Jungkook turned from the crowd, eyes wet, voice cracking, and gave the world a truth it wasn't ready to hear. Not every story ends with an encore. Sometimes, the most powerful thing an artist can do is walk off the stage. And if this was Jungkook's final act, it was his most honest yet. But what if it's not the end? What if it's the beginning of something even more powerful? What if, for the first time, Jungkook is not being managed, not being produced, not being marketed, but simply being, the world is watching, but more importantly, the world is finally listening.